Hey, what's up? How we doing? Welcome. What's up, Miguel? See you in the house. We've already got a bunch of people here watching live. Thank you so much for joining. Tonight it's Tuesday Night Live. I think we're just gonna call it that, and maybe we'll make it a thing. I kind of like it. It works out. Works out for me. Works out for my family. And I see a bunch of you guys here every week. So that should be fun. What's up, Miguel? Good evening, runners. Good to see you all. Yeah, thank you guys for joining. Got a couple fun things to talk about, and then just be hanging out, taking questions, answering anything you guys have about running, ultra running. If you got questions about coaching, training plans, anything like that. Hopefully you've seen the YouTube video that I posted yesterday, the Bigfoot 200 mega vlog, so we can talk about that too. Ask any questions you have about Bigfoot or any of those trips, honestly. Yeah, we'll roll a little intro, let a few extra people come in the next 30 seconds, and then we will be right back. All right, so last week I heard that the mic was a little hot, and then when I did watch it back, it was just a little bit, it was a little bit hot. So yeah, tell me how it sounds right now. Drop in the chat where you guys are watching from. I think that's so fun to see where everyone is at right now. A couple weeks ago, we had someone from Switzerland watching, so that was crazy. But yeah, throw in the chat where you guys are, and we will. Yeah, what's up? Jacob Spencer's back. Good to see you, Jacob. And Alex, hello from the wild and wonderful West Virginia. Awesome. Drew says, happy Tuesday, Ryan. Thanks for joining. It's awesome to see you back. And then Dan Darling says, hey, Ryan, dropping in as always. Just finished the new behind the scenes video just dropped. Really makes me appreciate all the work you put into these videos. Keep up the good work. Thank you so much, Dan. That means a lot. Yeah, it was crazy. We'll talk about that. Let's see who else is here. Who's here? Got Alex Matthew says, what's up, buddy? Love the BTS video. Fascinating insight. More coming. Answers yes. Yeah, I should have made that more clear at like maybe the end of that video, but I'm gonna do one of those vlogs for each of the 3 races of the Triple Crown. So there's the Bigfoot 200, Tahoe 200, and the Moab 240. And I'm going to put, I'm calling it a mega vlog because it ended up being so long. I thought, like the plan kind of going into it, like when I was like putting all the footage together and just compiling it all, I was like, okay, this is definitely turning into maybe something that might be like 2 or 3 episodes or something like that. But then I was just like, I don't know. I just like, as I was editing it, I was just like, I just kind of want to put up a just really long form, just a really long video. And so that's what I did. I left the whole thing together, ended up being like 50 minutes, called it a mega vlog. That's what I actually stole that title. I'm sure a lot of people use that title, but I took that from one of my favorite YouTubers. His name's Craig Adams. He used to do these things where he would go on some like long trip and he would call it a mega vlog. And then it kind of turned into what his channel is now, which is really cool. It's just like really really awesome hiking videos, which would be like if I had to pick like probably like anything I could like move my channel towards, like if it was possible, like that would be like the dream. But that's not going to happen because I have family, and it's that's just not going to happen to go on just like trips every other weekend or something, and put together these long form like just hiking videos. Like that would be so fun. But definitely I could see doing that with like ultra running races or something like that. Like that'd be so cool. Yeah, I kind of got the idea from him, and just was, just like, let's try it. Not afraid to put up a super long YouTube video, and been getting really positive comments back. So that's pretty cool. So thank you guys for watching that. Thanks for watching the whole thing. Someone commented today that they had to watch 14 commercials to get through the whole thing. And I'm sorry if that's annoying to you guys. That's YouTube. They're doing their advertising. So, Dan Darling says, on a related note, you've inspired me to bring my GoPro to the Temptations 200K and document my race. Any good, very basic video editing programs you recommend? Just thinking of making a short Instagram video. That is really awesome. Dan, that's super cool. What I would say is, yes, take your GoPro, film as much as you can. And the time, like, you want to pull out your camera so there's going to be a lot of times where you're like, I don't want to film right now because I'm feeling horrible or something. Well, that's when you should actually pull out your camera. Everybody loves watching like the fun, like, the pretty I'm on top of a mountain sort of thing. But, what everyone like really truly wants to see is when you're like suffering. And so like when you're really feeling like crap, that's when you pull out the camera, and that's when you just share your feelings and, you just be real in those moments. And then you asked about software. Download for free DaVinci Resolve. It is, I'm moving everything towards DaVinci Resolve right now. I used to be in the whole Adobe camp. I used to like the whole Triple Crown series was all done on Premiere Pro and After Effects. And then colored in DaVinci Resolve, and then put back into Premiere to like finish the final edit and sound mix in Adobe Audition, and then final export. And so I used 4 different programs for every single episode of the Triple Crown. And most of my YouTube videos for the last 5 years have been like that too. I've edit in Premiere Pro. If I had to do any graphics or anything, you had to open up After Effects. And then if I wanted to do any serious color grading, it was always in DaVinci Resolve. But over the last couple of years, DaVinci Resolve has really, really improved their editing panel. And then they do have another panel called Fusion. So it's like when you get in there, you'll see all of this. But there is a free version that has 90% of everything you could ever want, and it has 100% of everything you need to make videos. It doesn't add any watermarks, anything like that. The only thing, like, you can pay for the studio version, which I've done, and it'll give you some more powerful like effects and things like that. I can't remember exactly what else, but yeah, I mean, you don't need to pay for it. Like there's pros that still use the free version all the time. So download DaVinci Resolve, watch a couple tutorials on how to edit a YouTube video or Instagram video, and you'll be good to go. I love DaVinci Resolve. And like I said, I'm trying to move everything away from the whole Adobe. I'm stuck with Lightroom and Photoshop. Those I haven't seen a replacement that's any good. I've heard of a couple, haven't really tried out a ton of them, but yeah, I've been paying a subscription fee to Adobe for years for their whole suite, and I'm just tired of paying for that subscription. Because DaVinci Resolve is the best there is out there for a consumer level person to do any of their color grading in. Like I said, over the last couple of years, they've hugely improved everything else in the program, and it's a solid editing software now. So yeah, that's what I would recommend. And then definitely start putting stuff out. You know, if it's a short Instagram video, great. If start a YouTube channel too. Just start posting stuff. We got Alex from Long Island, New York. Jacob is in the house from just across the mighty Wabash. And Miguel is in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Welcome, everybody. Got Braden Hiltz from Calgary, Alberta. Western Canada Ultra Rep saying hi. What's up, man? Good to see you. Fellow Ultra person in the house. We got Marisol. Hi, Ryan. How's it going? Marisol's over from the West Coast. We got Tracy. Sounds good. Vancouver Island, BC, Canada. Holy cow, we got people from everywhere. Platts 33 is watching from Illinois. And then Dan's also a fellow Illinoisan here. Is that how you say it? I know it's like the neighboring state. I can't remember. I don't know if I've ever said that word though. Illinoisan. Sterling, where Hennepin 100 starts. Nice. That's cool. I had one of my athletes did the Hennepin 50 miler last year. So, and oh my gosh, Adam Steiner's here. What is up, man? Oh my gosh, good to see you. This guy he's one of my good friends. Go way back, college. Any advice in building up distance? Yeah, Adam, I would say just start with what you can do, maybe 3 times a week. And so if that's 1 mile, if that's 3 miles, if that's 5, just start with something you can consistently do like three times a week. And then, you know, the typical, the safest thing to throw out there in the public is to say never raise your weekly mileage by more than 10%. But hardly anybody ever follows that rule because it's so little amount. 10% is not much, especially if you start with 10 miles a week. You know, the next week, okay, fine, 11. And then next week, okay, like maybe go 12 miles or something. But that'll take you a long time. So I'd say typically, you know, if you start with like 3 runs a week and then go a couple weeks, add in a 4th run, and then just feel out your body. If you start to feel anything, like, especially in like your knees, anything like your IT band, anything like that going on, definitely take a step back. And I saw some really good advice from a coach I follow online. He just tweeted out yesterday or something. He said, you know, some really, really good advice, especially now, is just if you're feeling something bad, just take 3 full days off and don't do any running. 3 days, you know, typically if something is just barely starting to annoy you, like maybe an IT band or something like that, just take a couple days off and then get back into it. But yeah, the worst thing you could do would be to just jump in and go from like the couch to trying to run 20 miles in 1 day or something, or to just jump your mileage up like crazy from 1 week to the next. And I know that's really hard to do, like, you know, because running is so much fun, especially once you get into it and you start finding new places to go run and go see. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I used to just do an out and back from my house, but now I can do a whole loop around this neighborhood. And then, oh my gosh, like now I can do a whole loop around my city. Like maybe I can, you know, like when it starts getting stuff like that, you start being able to see so much. And I mean, running is one of my favorite things to do when I go to a new place, just to go explore and go see stuff. And I mean, the best advice I can give everybody here though is just small increments. You know, it's, you know, your muscles and everything, your joints, your ligaments, your tendons, your cardiovascular system, it responds really, really well, really amazingly when you just take small steps and just give it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. But it kind of rebels against you when you bite off too much, more than you can chew, basically. So yeah, good to see you, man. Michael Zito, 100 degrees here in Texas. That's hot. Yeah, crazy. Matt Roberts says, "Hey Ryan, good to see you. Would you share your exercises, etc., for getting over IT band syndrome?" Yes, good topic. Let me think about that real quick. So IT band syndrome, I struggled with that really bad last year. It started in April, and basically it took me out. And I got this because of I was not following the advice I just gave all of you 5 seconds ago. You can go back and look at my Strava if you want to. But it was sometime around in April. You know what? Let's have some fun. Let's go see if we can actually find it. Let's see here. So it was in April of last year. See, it's just gonna pull this up. Oh, that's the wrong program. That's WKO. That is another. So here we go, Safari. Okay, so this is Strava. This is my training log, and let's see if we can go back to 2019 April. Let's see here. Okay, so we're gonna look at this, and this is an example of what not to do. Okay, everybody. Look at this. This is horrendous. And you know, I'm really taking one for the team by putting this up on the screen here, because I would never, ever, ever tell any of my athletes to do this. I would never recommend anybody to do this type of training, but everyone thinks that they're invincible. So I did too at this time. So we're back here in March, and I'm running, like, basically doing nothing. I'm taking 3, 4, 5 days off in a row, and then going and running 14 miles on a Saturday or a Friday. And then the next week I did like 2 short runs, and then I did 20 miles. And I was all excited because I got brand new shoes. So I ran 20 miles, and then the next day I ran 7. And then I took almost a whole week off and then did 22 miles. And then this next week, I did another 20 miler on a Saturday. And then all of a sudden, bam, okay, look at this one. This one's called "Never Wore a Knee Brace Before Today. Please save me." And then I'm just falling apart. Like, my body's falling apart right here. I actually missed a race on that weekend because I was being stupid in these last 4 or 5 weeks. And this is what happens because I don't remember exactly what was going on during this time. I think I was actually doing a ton of editing on my OPSF video that was just screened today in this film festival. And so I think that's what was going on here. And I think I was just like, I was just being dumb. So I did these like 20 milers on Saturdays with almost no running in between, coming off of weeks that were like slim to none, like, you know, a bunch of 15, 12, 13 mile weeks with hardly doing anything during the week. This is the playbook for how you get injured right here. And like my cardio system, like all of that, like, I've built that up over the years, and I'm an ultra runner. So I'm okay with some pain. I'm okay with discomfort. I'm fine with going out there and just like hurting for 3 or 4 or 5 hours at a time or longer. And so these runs didn't really bother me, but what was going on was all of the tissues in my muscles and body and tendons and ligaments and everything were not ready for that kind of stress. Like, I was not ready for like a 20 miler and then a 20 miler and then a 20 miler, 3 weekends in a row with almost doing nothing prior. Like, I wasn't trained for that. And so I really aggravated my IT band, and that's when I had to start going to physical therapy. And physical therapy lasted for my IT band. I think I went to physical therapy for like 6 weeks, 5 weeks maybe. But I was running again, maybe 2 or 3 weeks after. So right here after this. So right here after that last 20-mile run, I pretty much took like 2 weeks off, tried to do it myself, and then I started going to physical therapy here, and I put all this physical therapy in Strava so that I could do something like this and go back. And I was really only in physical therapy for like 2 weeks before my physical therapist told me that I should go, if I wanted to, I could go try this 50K. And I went and did it and survived. So physical therapy really, really works. And Matt Roberts, I'm going to put your question back up on the screen because I'm circling back around to finally answer it. The exercises that I did, that were recommended to me by my physical therapist was, mainly, the exercise. There's 2 different kinds of exercises. There are preventative exercises, and then there are exercises or stretches that you can do to try to recover from an injury. And so I was firmly in that camp of recovering from an injury, and a lot of stretching, your glutes, your back, your hamstrings, a lot of stretching of your quads, a little bit of your calves, but it's a lot of like kind of laying on your back, put a strap like under your foot and kind of pull. So you got one leg pointed straight up in the air and you're pulling, kind of like stretching your calf and your hamstring and your glute. And then you cross your leg over across your body, and then you just kind of let it hang at like a 45-degree angle in the air while you're holding that strap. And you just sit there for like 30 seconds, take a rest, do it again, do it again, do it again. And then what you're trying to do is you're trying to lengthen out that whole chain, because anytime you have an overuse injury, it's typically because that is where the strain or the pressure came that was a result of the whole chain being overstressed. So if you can lengthen that chain, stretch out that whole chain, it'll put less stress on that injury. And so that's what we were trying to do, was really stretch out my glute and my hip so that I could get a little bit less stress on that IT band. And for those of you that don't know your IT band, it feels like the outside of your knee, just above your knee, is hurting. That's where the pain's coming from, but it is actually like a tissue band that goes from your knee all the way up to your hip. But that's where kind of the breaking point happens, and it starts to have a lot of stress and a lot of pain in that spot. So a lot of stretching, stretch out that chain, and then we taped my knee. It was just a very simple tape job. I think I kind of show it in the video of several videos actually from last year, but definitely the video from the race called Gnawbone, which was this 50K right here down in southern Indiana. That was pretty sweet. That was a good race. We got lost too. But yeah, I mean, I did this 50K like 2 weeks after starting physical therapy. So physical therapy really works. If you guys are experiencing problems, go get yourself checked out, go get fixed, because it's going to be a lot harder to do it yourself. Take a professional's advice. And then for prevention, what we did was like after I kind of got the injury healed, the prevention part of it was just strengthening that whole chain. So again, a lot of like hip and glute strengthening exercises, foam rolling really helps. There's like conflicting things out there that you can find on the internet about foam rolling on specific injuries, and especially on for IT band. My physical therapist said that it was okay to foam roll the whole area, even the part that had pain, as long as I wasn't causing myself so much pain that I couldn't handle it, because of the type of injury that an IT band injury is. You kind of want to break up and loosen that whole area. So, but yeah, I would definitely take a professional's advice, not me. So let's see here. Oh, Adam says Affinity is a decent Photoshop replacement. Have you looked into that? I've actually heard of that. Somebody else recommended that to me too, and I'm going to check that out. So thanks for that, man. Rocky Runs is here from Belfast, Northern Ireland. Hot and humid in California here, Marisol says. Heat wave. Oh boy. Oh, we got somebody from Battleground, Indiana, Eric Ruman. That is really close to me. Enjoying the cooler weather here. Yeah, definitely. Today was awesome. My run at lunch today was actually really great. I got a bunch of PRs today on my run because the weather, all of a sudden, like the humidity just dropped out. Today I did this run. There's a Strava segment by my house. You got to run to it, but it's a 4-mile loop, and it's just sweet. Like, I use it kind of like to judge my fitness over the years. I'll do this loop here, just like 4 miles, just to see where I am. And today I was feeling really good. My body really bounced back from this horrendous run I had over the weekend. Yeah, I just kind of went for it and got now I'm 6th on the all-time leaderboard on this 4-mile segment, which is cool because the top 5 are all like Purdue track runners, I think. And then, got a bunch of got a 10K PR. I don't know where it came from, but I was wearing the Escalante Racers. These shoes are awesome. And on here, I don't know if you can see it. I'll show you on the... Oh, look, I got an overhead camera. This Stride Pod is really, really awesome right here. Shows you power so that you can train with power. A lot more accurate with cadence, with distance that you run, because a lot of times GPS gets lost, like in the clouds or trees or anything like that. But yeah, these Escalante Racers are really, really fun shoes. They're like clear too. Like you can like see your socks through them, which is like pretty cool, but they're very, very breathable, knit upper. It's just really awesome. So definitely fast shoes. See here, let's get to some more questions. Ron Spencer is from Guam. Whoa, nice. Casey Cook's here from Michigan. And Adam is in the Twin Cities. Awesome. Dan Darling did Hennepin last year. So flat. Yeah, that's what I heard. So that's one thing, like, the athlete that did that I coach, that's exactly what she said too. Lots of crushed limestone trails, and I mean that's what we trained for it, and it worked out. She had a really good race there. I think it'd be fun to go out and check it out. She said it was really pretty. And Casey Cook deferred Hennepin to next year. Nice. And then he says road or trail shoes. That's a good question. My athlete took both, and she ended up wearing road shoes for most of it, I believe. Oh yeah, there. Dan is chiming in. Already deferred kettle to 2022, 21 as well, Midwest states. Road shoes are fine. The trail is well groomed and solid. Bring trail shoes though. Rained bad last year. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, she only did the 50 miler, so I don't know. Maybe it rained later in the night or something. But okay, cool. Oh, you guys are having some awesome discussion here. That's awesome. I love seeing that. I don't even have to chime in. People are answering other people's questions. This is awesome. We're a community here, guys. This is so cool. Sweet. Platt says, I'm running a virtual marathon on the Hennepin in 2.5 weeks. That would be cool. That would be really cool to go run a virtual race on an actual race course. Might hit 10 feet of elevation. Yeah, watch out. I'm going to run in my Torn Flat 4.5 Plush. Good choice. That'd be a good race shoe for something long. Patrick Soto says Duo 1.5 is a good trainer. I liked it a lot. I went through 2 pairs of the Duo 1.5s. These are Ultra shoes that are actually discontinued. So sorry about that. Yeah. I would recommend trying out the Torn Plush if you really like the Duo. That's going to be your best bet moving forward. Or buy more pairs that are on clearance right now or something. Let's see here. Miguel says, hey, Ryan, what do you hold a higher preference for? Ideal weight or rigidity of a trail shoe, specifically a daily driver shoe? For a trail shoe, it depends. For me, a trail shoe, like I don't really mind the weight so much. Like the Olympus are the heaviest trail shoes I run in, and they're like 10 or 10 and a half ounces or something. And I don't mind the weight at all because there's so many benefits to the outsole, the traction of it, and the midsole cushion. But as far as like, I pick trail shoes based off of the type of run I'm going to do and what the trail conditions are. So, you know, obviously, so like if it's a really smooth buffed out trail, like I'm going to pick, you know, maybe something that maybe like a Timp or something, because, the outsole is not going to be as grippy. But it's great for like really buffed out, like something that already has good footing. And the Timp is a really fast shoe because it rocks you forward really, really fast, which is awesome. Something that's going to be like if I'm running something that needs a whole lot of traction, you know, I would go for something like a King MT or a Lone Peak. Something that's going to be like really like rocky or rooty, I would probably go with an Olympus. Like when I did Grindstone 100 3 years ago now, Grindstone is out on the East Coast. It's in Virginia, and notoriously rocky trails. Like there was some for just miles. Like you weren't even running on dirt. You're just running on rocks. Anyone from that area knows what that's like. And I wore Lone Peaks for the first half, and my feet were pretty sore by the end of it, or by the end of the 50 miles. And so I switched into Olympus, and it was like the next few miles were like a dream because it felt so much better. So I think it really depends on your trail that you're running. First of all, the conditions of the trail, and then what type of run you're going to do. Like also, like if I'm going to go out and do like if I'm going to go try and do like see how fast I can run a 5K or a 10K or something on a trail I know really well, I'm probably not going to wear the Olympus because they're not as good for running fast. I would pick something like a Timp, Lone Peak, Superior, something like that maybe. So a lot of it just depends on several factors. Luis Rodriguez, what's up? Super chat. Thank you so much, Luis. Would you rather have pineapple or sardines on your pizza? You got to pick one. Pineapple. That, you know, I had to think about that for a second just because I wanted to picture both, but absolutely pineapple. That's what I would go with. So thank you so much for that question. That was a good question. Oh man, Chase the Summit. Dave says, Ryan, you need to come visit the Beast Coast. Our trails are interesting. Yes, I love the Beast Coast. Like I said, I don't know. Would you consider Virginia Beast Coast? Grindstone? I know that. I think you would. But that's the only time I've ran trails out on the East Coast. Ran 100 miles in Virginia on a Hard Rock qualifier out there. That is a hard race. Starts at 6 p.m. Super difficult. You run through the night. You get about 30 minutes of daylight, and then it's pitch black for like 12 hours. And then you get about 12 hours of daylight, and then it gets dark again. It's night. So Adam says, totally agree on PT. Went last year. Watching my running form in slow-mo was brutal, but so helpful. Yeah, that's another thing. If you go to a physical therapist that maybe has like a sports back, well, obviously they should all have sports background, but more of like they all focus on kind of different sports. And so, yeah, they filmed me on a treadmill as well. That was really interesting. I learned something that when I run, like one of my shoulders was like half an inch to an inch lower than the other typically. And so I've tried to work on that. So yeah, it's fun, but it can be painful. Bob Stewart's here from Central Wisconsin. Let's see here. Cool. Rocky Run said, any info on Ultra going to release Torn 4.5 non-plush, Torn 4 are so good. And then our Ultra rep, Braden, says Torn 4 will not get an update. You heard it here first. All right, so cool. Wanted to tell you guys a little bit about, we got some more questions coming in, but this film festival that my film was in, it's called the Indie Film Fest. And we did a panel. It was like a live stream panel question and answer. And it was super fun today. Got to meet some other filmmakers. It was kind of a bummer that it was all virtual this year. This film festival has been going on for a long time, and it's always down in Indy, and it's like a week long, and it's just super fun, like to get to mingle with a bunch of other people. But this year was all virtual. So I got to meet a few people, got to meet some of the some other filmmakers, did some other cool stuff. My film was paired up. It was like a double feature showing with this race car film, which was pretty cool. And I got to meet the filmmakers, and yeah. So, and now I have some connections, which is pretty cool. But I used this live stream setup for the Zoom call that was also then broadcast out to everybody, and everyone else was like on their like laptop webcams, and they were all like, oh my gosh, Ryan, like your setup is better than ours. So I was like, I'm also a YouTuber. So that was cool. They all liked it. But yeah, you guys can go see that video. It's on my YouTube channel. If you haven't seen it yet, it's called Tougher Than the Rest, and it's just 17 minutes long. It's not a mega vlog or anything like that. But me and my good friend Tristan Yoder went down to Southern Indiana and filmed this race. It's like self-proclaimed the hardest race in Indiana. And I've never had an opportunity to do it, which sucks because 2 years ago, last year I was filming it, and then this year I was signed up and ready to go, and then it got canceled. So next year I'm going to do it, but it's in March every year. So hopefully next year in March I'll be able to do it. But yeah, and then speaking of races that are actually happening, I know I kind of teased on one of my videos that I was thinking about doing a race. Oh yeah, Jacob asks, where are you running this weekend? I don't know if you're referring to the race I was talking about or not, but I was toying around with doing the Burning River 100-mile endurance run, and that is not going to happen because this run this weekend was just it was really awful. Like going into it, I was like, okay, we're going to see, it's supposed to hit like 95 degrees today. Like heat index or something. It was like 88. But it's, supposed to feel like it's in the mid 90s. So I'm going to start at noon and we're just going to see, I was planning on I was like, I have to do at least 20 miles today. If I'm feeling okay, I'll do 25 or more. and started running, and the first like 5-10 miles were pretty easy, like not so bad. I actually took my hydration pack or my hydration vest, and I had 2 water bottles, and thought I was doing really good with hydration. And I am pretty sure that I was, until like the last hour or so. My body just kind of gave out and was just had some of the worst, like it wasn't just pain, but just like the body just like giving up. Like I was falling asleep while I was running, couldn't even stand up straight. There was like, and part of the problem was that I was like in some of these trails that I was in was just like in the middle of just like 6-7 foot tall brush on both sides. So there was no wind and no tree cover either. So just like baking in these trails. And it was just like horrendous, but like perfect training. It was great. And I was just, I kind of went into it and I was just like, like this is like, we're going to see where I am. And if I surprise myself and I come out of this run, feeling good, or like, I mean, you never feel like good after you run like 25 miles or something, but, if I surprise myself and the run goes okay, like I'll sign up for this race. Let's go do 100 miles next weekend. But, the answer came in the form of just crushing exhaustion. And, the last 2 miles, like I fell asleep, on a bench for 20 minutes at one point, and was out of water. I was less than 2 miles away from my car, when I fell asleep on this bench. And then, I fell asleep on another bench 0.75 miles away from my car. And it was just like I've bonked, one time at, Ironman Muncie 70.3. And I was dizzy, cross-eyed, seeing stars, wasn't able to stay on the road. I was like walking off the road, fell to my knees a few times, like, cause I watched got some advice from somebody that during the half marathon, like at, every other aid station, just grab a cup of ice and just chew on the ice as you go. And that's all the hydration you'll need. And you don't need to fill your gut up with water. And I mean, this was years ago, like when I was not, as smart as I am now, which I'm still not that smart, with this stuff. But, so I like bonked like super hard, fell asleep. Like, a lot of people like talk about bonking, like they use the term very loosely. And I am more in the camp of like, I would rather us all save that for like the actual, like what it really is, like when your body actually like starts shutting down. Like there's a really good YouTube video that I watched, and I wish I had the link for it, but it really explained what it is. And it's really like your body, like you run out of calories, and sometimes it can also be mixed with dehydration, or typically sometimes it is. But your brain, like you just get this like massive brain fog. You can't think right. Like you don't want to eat anything. Like eating something, like actually, like the thought of eating something makes you feel physically nauseous. But the problem is that's exactly what you need. And then like typically your body just starts shutting down. You have to sit down, you have to lay down. Like a lot of times you can fall asleep. So it's happened to me once in a race, which was awesome. And then it happened to me on Saturday. And yeah, I got my answer, that I'm not ready to run. I'm not ready to push myself for 100 miles right now. I'm still a couple weeks out, probably even from a 50 miler, especially if there's any sort of heat. My body, now I do really well in like fall type weather. I think a lot of people probably do, but I do better when it's a little bit cooler. Like I'm 6'1", so there's a lot of surface area to heat up. So I get really hot when it gets hot, and that doesn't help. But yeah, I'm still a couple weeks out from probably trying a 50. So that's kind of what it looks like. I'm going to shoot for, I'm going to try and find a date in October, probably, maybe second or third week in October to try a 100 miler. And then maybe like, in a couple weeks, sometime in September, try a 50 miler. All self-supported because there are some races out there, but they're just not like lining up right. Let's see. Let's do a couple questions here. Rocky Run says, another ultra question. Which ultra is best for going down on technical terrain, but still good for ultras? Thanks. I think it depends. For me, it depends on what race distance you're at or what distance your run is. Olympus are really good for bombing downhill. Lone Peaks are pretty good for all that kind of stuff. Like anything like the more technical you go, the more I would lean towards Lone Peak, something like that. Just because that lug pattern is really nice. And the stack height is just right for hopping over, like really good for rocks and roots and stuff. But yeah, I think it kind of depends on how technical the terrain is. But I think the best thing is just like whatever you're comfortable with. So, go to a running store, go try them out, or like a lot of places have like free returns, stuff like that. So just buy a couple pairs, run in them, return them if you don't like them. Jacob says, ran 22 miles on the Heritage Trail on Sunday. First time running the south half. Not a fan of the sand and dodging horse poo. Yeah. Horse? I didn't know that was down there. Yeah. So what he's talking about is the Wabash Heritage Trail. It's a 13-mile trail that we have here in town. And there's two very distinct halves of it. The north half is a lot more popular and it's a lot better. The southern half gets super sandy because most of it is right by the Wabash River. But yeah, it's just, I don't know. Like I used to run a lot on the Heritage Trail and I just don't anymore because it's just the same thing. It's just like all that sand and it's really buggy and it floods a lot. And half the time you can't even find the trail because it's been washed out. So yeah. Lewis says, oh man, I ran into not wanting to eat things plenty in hundreds. LOL. Eating real food early helps a lot. Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of times, like if you're in a race, like a lot of times, like your stomach will just turn. That happened to me several times last year, at, what was the first one that I did last year? Kettle. My stomach turned, but that had to do with the gels I was taking, I think. And then my stomach turned at hallucination. My stomach turned at like mile 35, and I pretty much didn't eat anything for the last 65 miles. I think I figured out that I went like almost 20 hours with eating just like minimal calories. And like we're talking about like the amount of calories that you get in drinking some Gatorade and having a few Pringles at aid stations. Like that's how much I had in like the last 20 hours of that 100 miler. You can check out that video too. That's a good one. That's a fun video. I like, yeah, I don't know. Like, I think is it weird to see like one of your own videos, but that one is a special video because the Hallucination 100 was just such a emotional race for me because I had come off those two separate injuries, IT band syndrome in the spring, and then tearing my cartilage in my ankle at the Mohican 100 in June, and then really not doing anything for almost 3 months. Except going and filming all these races, like going to Western States and Bigfoot and Tahoe and Moab, but not really running at all. During this time, trying to rehab, going to physical therapy 3 times a week for months to rehab these injuries, and then going to that Hallucination 100 less than 2 weeks after the doctor cleared me to run, and just running on just pure emotion. Like there was absolutely no physical conditioning there I was walking into that race with. Like I was completely out of shape, and running almost 100% on emotion during that race, and finishing it, and just really being able to just like really slam the door on these injuries and just walk away from them. It was just such a good feeling. Yeah. So that's why, I was not going to quit that race. Even if I couldn't eat anything in the last 20 hours because my stomach was so upset. But yeah, so I've been working a lot on that. I've been working a lot on my nutrition, trying to figure out what works for me. Recently, like what's really been working well is Spring Energy gels. They're freaking expensive, but they work for me. They're close to like $2 a gel, which is just like so expensive. I almost like hate even recommending them to people because they're so expensive, but they work. They work wonderfully for me. When like Goo and what else is out there? Like Unived and Cliff and all these others, like really sugary ones. They work for a lot of people, in a lot of particular situations, but just didn't work for me as well. I realized that, after a few hours, after 5 or 6, 7 or 8 hours, my body just like didn't want sugar at all. Like it didn't want the processed sugar. So tried out Spring Energy, and even though they are expensive, got like a good tip from a couple good people. There was couple good people gave me some tips, and tried them out, and they've been working really well. But yeah, disclaimer, I haven't gone, I think the longest run I've used them for is like a marathon or something. So I haven't really done any ultra type distance. But I will, shortly here in a couple weeks, and I'll be able to tell you guys all what I think about them at that point. Drew, what's up, man? I recognize you from Instagram. 7-year-old next to me is reading Ultramarathon Man by Dean Karnazes. Tonight, he asked, has Ryan ever run Death Valley? I told him Indiana doesn't hit 130, so hopefully not. No, I've never ran in Death Valley. That would be sweet. I would. The Badwater 135 is a very scary race. For me, it's one of those that, like, if you just ask me straight up, do you ever want to run it? I'll probably just say no. Because like I said, 15 minutes ago or so, like my body just, like, I just haven't, broken the code for how my body can run in the heat yet. It's just, it breaks me all the time. One of my good friends, John, who's probably here, he's recommended arm sleeves, keeping them wet. And then another friend of mine has a towel that he wraps around his neck, keeps that wet. Different types of hats. So there's different things that I'm going to try. If I ever get into a situation where I'm going to run like a really hot race again. But yeah, I mean, of course, if I was given the opportunity to run Badwater 135, I'd do it. But it's not like on the top of my list, because that race is, it's like 100 miles on pavement in Death Valley, and it was 130 degrees today there. So I would much rather run something more like Bigfoot or something like that, in the Cascades. Definitely, something California, Utah. There's also some really cool stuff out on the Beast Coast. Eastern states would be really fun to run. However, I won't sign up for that race until they reroute it away from that rattlesnake den at mile 99. I'm not about that. Rocky Run says, thanks Ryan, running my first 100K early 2021, and some of the terrain on the course is very technical and rocky. Nice. Yeah. I mean, the most technical rocky stuff I've done is Grindstone, and I wore Olympus. They were great. So let's see what else we got here. A lot of people talking shoes. Good to see that. Shoes are fun. Lewis saw the kettle video. Nice work on Woodstock following those injuries. Been keeping up on. Yeah, nice work, man. Keep it up. I'd never go back to kettle based on what else we have here in the Midwest. Yeah, I don't know. Kettle's a fun race because the people that put it on are really, really good. I've got a bunch of friends up there in Wisconsin that run an aid station. But yeah, it's like, it's just like a lot of all these races, they're defined by the terrain, and kettle. There's a lot of like prairie sections where you're running through just like big open fields with grass. There's the year I ran it. What was that? Was that last year? Yeah. It rained really hard and the trails don't drain very well, so it was super muddy. Like we're talking like mud pit muddy. And then the other thing I'm a fan of races having a limit on how many runners they allow in and then sticking to that. And I'm also a fan of races that are just like the something 100 miler, and that's it. But I know that, a lot of us wouldn't be able to get into the sport if there weren't shorter races, and a lot of these, RDs and running race companies, like they need to make money, so they need to bring in more people into the races. But, personally, I would prefer if some of like the shorter races were maybe on different days or something, because the kettle was a perfect example of, they just had so many races. They had, I think there's a 100K, I think there's a 50 mile, I think there's a 50K, I think there's a marathon, there's like a midnight run, there's like a 5K, there's like a half marathon, there's like almost every distance you could run, there's a distance at the kettle. And so there's just so many people out on the trails. And so then when it got really muddy, these mud pit areas were just destroyed. And we're talking like a trail that was probably should have been like 4 feet wide or something. By the end of the race, it had turned into like 20 feet wide, and it was just mud for, 100 yards, 20 feet wide, because people were just stomping in like on the side of the trail because it was so muddy in the middle. And there were so many people running, and it just like the way it worked, like I was coming into one aid station, and it was a particular aid station where one of the, I think it was like a half marathon or something, was starting at that aid station, and they were coming the opposite direction. So like I had 100 people like ran by me super fast, and I had to get off the trail and just wait for like a couple minutes. So, I really did like that race. But I would pick races that are more like, just have like less people or less race distances at them. But I definitely, like the kettle and Mohican, I want to go back to, and so I can finish them, because not finishing those was not fun last year. Adam says, have you ever used Pro Bar bolt stuff? No, I have not. Should I try that? Dan Darling says, all right, Ryan, heading out. Catch you next week. See you, Dan. And then Platts33 says, listening to some of your old podcasts, any new books you would recommend? Yes. So I listen to Audible. And I'll just see if I can show you guys what's on my Audible right now. Right now I'm listening to this book called Dialogue by Robert McKee. The Art of Verbal Action for the Page, Stage, and Screen. So that's a good one. I'm really liking that a lot. And then if you guys are into like writing and stories, there's this other really good book that I would recommend. It's short and it's very easy to digest, even if you don't know that much about movies or stories. It's just called Save the Cat. And this is totally not running related, so sorry, but you asked. So read the book, Save the Cat. It will really, I think you'll appreciate movies more because you'll understand how story works better. And that's something that's just been really cool for me over the last, couple of years as I've been just putting together like YouTube videos, but then also like try to putting together more like story-based stuff, like some of these documentary things that I'm working on. So learning more about story is just fascinating to me. And then when you start breaking it down and, you've got several acts in a movie, act 1, act 2, act 3. Sometimes you can have some people break it down into 5, but then you've got different things that a character has to go through to get from one to the next. And when you start knowing more about that, and you can start spotting it in movies, and then you can start appreciating movies better for taking risks that maybe you wouldn't have spotted had you not known about this process for how stories work. But yeah, really short book. I don't know how short it is. I think it's like 4 or 5 hours on Audible, something like that. Save the Cat. That's what I would recommend. Jacob, see you later. I'm out. Move-in week over on campus. Lots of beds and futons to deliver tomorrow for sure. Oh, yeah. So Purdue is moving in. All the students are starting to move in. They start Monday. I think Monday is the first day of class next week. And yeah, so there's 40,000 college students moving into Jacob and my town in the next few days, which is crazy. They're actually starting in-person classes, but from what I've heard, a large portion of students have opted for online. So I guess there'll be less. There won't be 40,000. It'll be less than that, but it's happening. Chip says across Florida, 200-mile race. Tired of canceled triathlons, and I think this might be the only race I want to happen this year. Thinking about Ultra Olympus, thoughts 3 pairs suffice. Yeah. Across Florida, 200-mile race. Yeah, 200-miler. I mean, I think you'd be safe with 3 pairs of shoes. The last 100 I did in just 1 pair of Olympus. And I actually really preferred that after it was over. I was like, wow, that was way better than switching shoes a bunch of times. But if you do get them wet, if you're in Florida, it's probably going to be pretty wet. Certain spots, if you're on trails, a lot of swamps and marshes, whatever else you guys have down there in Florida. But yeah, I would probably take a couple, especially if you're doing 200 miles. You're probably going to want a relief of a fresh pair of shoes after you sleep. That's going to be something. If you haven't watched the Amazon show, there's a bug in here. If you haven't watched the Amazon show, check that out. It might give you a little bit of insight on how Rob tackled the 200-mile distance 3 times. Yeah, I mean, if you've got a crew, like get some sleep spots worked out, and don't go too long without sleeping too. That's one thing that I really picked up on. A lot of people were talking about, like, man, I just went, I would just listen to people talking at aid stations, and they're just like, I just went like I just went too far on that section. Then I had to sleep, and then I slept for 3 or 4 hours, and I still wasn't rested. And then I got up, and the next section was horrible. And so I don't know. I would say sleep when you get tired. You're gonna probably sleep 3 or 4 times, unless you're. I think everybody does, honestly. Even Mike McKnight, who won all 3 of them, he was sleeping on the side of the trail. He would tell stories about falling asleep on the side of the trail for 15 or 20 minutes, multiple times in a row on sections. So everyone sleeps. Got to get your sleep in those races. But yeah, okay, so we've been going for a little over an hour now, so I'm going to start wrapping things up. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Let me know what you got going on. If you have, if you're doing anything crazy this weekend, I'm probably shooting for another decent week. So the last couple weeks, I ran 50 miles the last couple weeks, probably hit that again this week. Maybe 55 or 60 if I get lucky this weekend with good weather and good energy. And then next week I'll probably plan on taking like a little bit of a rest week, probably drop it down to like 35 or 40, and then start building up the next couple weeks after that to a solo 50 miler. Hopefully mid-September, something like that. That's what I'm looking at. That's what I'm aiming for right now. But yeah, thank you all for joining. This was fun. Yeah, I had a lot of fun on this one. This was one of the more fun ones that I feel like I've done. I felt like we had a really good group tonight. Lots of really good questions, lots of discussion. A lot of you guys were talking back and forth. We had an ultra rep in the house, Braden Hiltz. Adam was here, Adam Steiner, my buddy from college. Jacob was here from across the river. A bunch of people were here from all over the country, all over the world. So thank you guys so much for joining. That's it for tonight, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.